All right. Hello, everybody. Hi. I don't know. This is going to be crooked because I'm sitting my laptop on my window ledge, but I wanted to talk. I know I haven't filmed a video in a while, yet I'm still going to talk. I'm still going to run my mouth. Also, no makeup because I've been crying. Okay. It is what it is. Right. So I just finished watching a series called It's a Sin. I think it's an English series. And it is about homosexuals in the 1960s, 80s, something like that. When AIDS was at its peak and, you know, the loss of a lot of people to AIDS. Sorry, I just need to close that. It's very bright. And we got to travel through these series of these people, these friends who find solitude in each other after being rejected by their families or society one way or another, and they come together and they become friends. But we do lose 3 of them through the end of the series. Spoiler alert. A series about AIDS, people are going to die. And it really, I had a fat cry at the end. I'm not going to lie, I had a fat cry, but it did make me reflect on why I want to become a doctor. I'm not talking about why I want to become a doctor today. I'm going to talk about the ignorance that New Zealanders are showing and the ignorance that Americans are also showing. We're going deep today. And so I'm hoping that you're rewatching this. I'm going live because I cannot be bothered filming a video and editing it for this because I have so much to say. So 2020 happened. For me, at the beginning of 2020, New Zealand went into I think it was like 4-month lockdown, 3-4-month lockdown, because a world pandemic hit. And, you know, New Zealand's government wanted to make sure that everyone was safe. So we focused on beating the virus, doing what we could in the moment to beat the virus, to save as many people as possible. And we did do a very good job at that. America's government did not do a good job of that. Trumpy, you're a fuckwit. I don't like Trump. He's a fuckwit. I'm going to put it out there. I just have so much to say. I'm sorry, I'm going to be speaking very slowly. You can put this in 2x if you want. For my fellow ADHD people, I'm a very emotional person. Okay, I'm very sensitive, and I used to hate that about myself. And whenever someone is mad at me, I can't sleep for days on end. I would get in a fight with a friend and I won't sleep for 3 days, or I won't sleep for however long it is until we fix it. I don't eat, I don't sleep. I get so emotional and I can't help it. I am just a very sensitive person. And in 2018, my grandfather passed on, and that was the hardest experience of my life. I wasn't that close to him when he was alive. I did go down and visit him a lot, but when he passed, I don't know what happened, but it tore me to pieces. I don't want to sound like Shane Dawson, but I am a fucking empath, okay? I cannot help it. So watching this series made me cry a shit ton because there was so much shame involved with homosexuals that they felt the shame. So then when they did contract a disease, they were too shameful to speak up and ask for help. And then when they did, because of the fucking society, no one helped them. No one helped them. Many of them died alone in a hospital bed, far away from their homes, with no loved ones around them. And, you know, you can probably be thinking what's going through their head is fear. You know, you're scared when you're dying. You're scared when you think you're about to die. I've had a near-death experience. You're terrified when you think you're about to die. But then there's also that little aspect of shame in their head, which probably made them think, at least a little bit, I deserve this. And, you know, that is so wrong. But that is a whole situation in itself. Today, I'm talking about ignorance, okay? We're going through a pandemic. I have seen in person what the fuck has been happening. In New Zealand, I have been volunteering in a hospital, which led me to get a receptionist job. I've walked through the halls of hospitals and I've heard stories. I've heard stories from real people, real accounts of what they're going through. You know, because this pandemic, people, obviously you've heard the stories. You may have heard the stories. Families being stripped apart. You know, someone will contract COVID-19. They'll be admitted into the hospital. They'll get more and more sick. They'll be staying in this hospital where it's cold, it's sterile, the beds are uncomfortable, the lights are either too bright or too dim. You're being poked and prodded all day by strangers. You're constantly hearing screams down the hallway, groans from your roommate. There's so much just pain and suffering in a place that is meant to be helpful. And it is helpful. They do an amazing job. That is the whole point of the hospital. But still, you know, people are being torn away from their families. When someone you love is dying and they're on a hospital bed and you can't see them legally, you're only allowed to talk through the phone if they can talk at all. A part of my job as a volunteer was to call families home and to tell them what has happened to their loved one who is in the hospital, or tell them how they are coping with what is going on in the hospital. And it's heartbreaking because they have to sit at home. They can't see the person that they care about in the world. And they have to hear from a stranger on a phone, hey, your loved one is dying. They're going to die by the end of the day. They're going to pass on. You get that news from a phone. You're not able to be there for them. So there's a lot of that happening. You know, there was a lot of that happened in New Zealand. Families were not able to talk to their loved ones. They weren't able to see their loved ones. You know, without the pandemic, either way, you know, sitting in a hospital bed dying while you can see all of your family worried, coming to your aid, coming to be with you, while you're also clouded with fear around dying. Your family, they're worrying about you, so you've also got that extra burden. You don't want to see them worried about you. You don't want to sit there and watch your loved one die right in front of you, let alone not even be able to be there at all. You know, when people can't physically offer assistance, the next best thing to do is to be there for someone and to be the shoulder to cry on, be the ear to listen. But when you can't even do that because of a pandemic, you're locked away from your family. Your family member, your loved one, your friend, your neighbor, your acquaintance, whoever is locked in a room and you can't talk to them, you can't see them, you don't know what's going on. The only time you get contact with them is through a stranger on a phone. That is bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. There are safety reasons as to why you can't see your family. You know, they don't want you yourself to get infected and to increase the numbers, but it's also tragic. It's tragic. Having to deliver bad news over phone, having to deliver bad news as a doctor in general is tragic. I'm sorry for the lighting changes. Having to deliver that news over a phone, having to receive that news over a phone is horrible. And not only in hospitals as well. The elderly in retirement villages, you know, a lot of elderly feel like they are kind of locked away in a retirement village. You know, they spend their whole life out being able to do whatever they want, whenever they want, within their means. They can go to any place in the world and they can see anywhere in the world. But when it comes to needing care and their family members can't pick that up and they get put into a retirement home or they go to a retirement home by their own will, they're still locked away from the world, in a sense. They're confined to this retirement village, as nice as it may be, as shitty as it may be, they're still confined to a retirement village. And, you know, for many elderly, seeing their family members when they come in for their visits is an escape, and it's nice. It's a nice catch-up. You get to feel loved. You get to see the person that you love. Like, if you're an elderly and your child comes in, it's, I'm doing a good job. I've raised them up. They're going to go out into the world and live their life and be amazing. With this pandemic, family were not allowed to go into the retirement home. People were not allowed to come out of retirement homes. Even though the elderly may not have been sick, they weren't allowed to see their families. They were locked in like a prison. Like a fucking prison. I'm sorry, I'm getting really mad. But in New Zealand, we overcame the pandemic very quickly because we had a good government. And I have noticed a lot of New Zealanders are posting on social media, or people are talking about New Zealanders posting on social media that, hey, New Zealand does such a good job of overcoming the pandemic that they can go to festivals. Or I'll see Kiwis post, oh, haha, the rest of the world's suffering while we're going to festivals. First of all, we all went through that, okay? We went through the lockdowns. We went through the mandatory masks. We went through the mandatory sanitation. We went through not being able to see your friends and family. We went through it all. There are still restrictions in place as well, which means we're still kind of going through it. Nothing will be the same for many, many years, okay? We all went through it. So, bitches, you should fucking know what it's like to go through it. On the other side of the world, there are still people going through that pain. There are still people being torn away from their families. There are still elderly not being able to see their families. There are still mass amounts of people dying, and you have the audacity to go out there and post, haha, you're suffering while I'm getting drunk at a festival, or I'm getting high at a festival. We all went through this. You know the pain. If you don't know the pain, you're lucky. You're privileged. But look outside of your bubble. I didn't personally have anyone that was affected by COVID. I didn't know anyone that was affected by COVID directly. But I could still see so many other people suffering because they were dealing with it. And a loved one of theirs was dealing with it. And, you know, people are still going through that every single day and on the other side of the world in many different countries. And you have the audacity to come out here and brag. You have the audacity to come out here and brag about how, oh, we're over it. We're fine. We're vibing. Yeah, okay, cool. We're fine. Cool. That could change any day. This virus could literally come back any day. Don't brag about it. Sit down, take a seat. The rest of the world are still suffering. Okay? So many people are going through it. You don't need to rub it in their face. You don't. Have a little bit of empathy. Stop rubbing it in people's faces that we've overcome the pandemic and they haven't. Instead, offer some help. Okay, America as well. You lot are just fucking ignorant. Like, the rest of the world knows it. Everyone knows it. You're fucking ignorant. Everyone, like, America's constantly like, we're the best country in the world. Everyone knows that you're not. I'm sorry. You don't want it to be real. You don't want it to be real, but it's real. I'm going to tell you right now, it's real. Same with this pandemic. You know, you hillbilly motherfuckers who are out there protesting to not have to wear a mask, what you're doing through that, you're hiring your chance of catching the virus. You're hiring your chance of a loved one catching the virus. What would you do if your grandmother got the virus and she had to die in a hospital bed by herself, surrounded by strangers, bright lights, cold room, uncomfortable bed, alone, surrounded by fear, wondering what the fuck her family are up to, and you had to get that news through a phone call. Through a fucking phone call. Your white privilege ain't gonna get you that far, bitch. Viruses don't care about your white privilege. I'm saying that because the majority of anti-mask people are like white from what I've seen. But, you know, even so, there are people that are colored that don't like masks. So either way, your anti-mask protests, you're not doing anything. They're just hiring your chances of getting it. They're hiring your neighbor's chances of getting it. They're hiring your boss's chance of getting it. Your co-worker's chance of getting it. Your child's chance of getting it. Your child's teacher's chance of getting it. Kids in your child's classrooms getting it. Your mailman getting it. Your fast food worker getting it. What would you do if your fast food worker, first of all, couldn't survive because they didn't get enough pay? Okay, that's an issue in America. Why the fuck are you all protesting giving $15 as a minimum wage when in New Zealand the minimum wage is $20. Why the fuck are you protesting that? You lot love your fast food. If one of your fast food workers dies because they catch COVID and they spread it to the rest of the branch, guess what? You don't have a branch. You don't have food. You don't have fast food. You lot need to sort your fucking shit out. You need to start working together, opening up your fucking minds. You closed-minded pricks. I am so upset. First of all, that America, you are so divided and you're so money hungry that you cannot see that your people are dying. Without people, you don't have a society. Without people, you don't have a neighborhood. Without people, you don't have friends, you don't have family, you don't have loved ones, and you don't have people to support you. Without people, you don't have anything. Okay? Life is not built off of monetary objects. Life is built off of spending time with loved ones and making memories out of experiences. Obviously, you know, money can help in terms of making experiences and comfortably living. But that is not what makes for a happy life. What makes for a happy life is having people around you that love you, that support you, and that you can have a good time with. It's the people around you that matter. And the people around you are going to all die. All die in fear, alone, by themselves, scared out of their fucking minds because you don't want to wash your hands or wear a mask. There are people working on the front lines to make sure that these people who get COVID or any other disease, any other injury, are able to fully heal, or not even fully, to partially heal so that they continue living. When you die, you die. Okay? I don't care if you believe in a heaven or a hell or a purgatory. You are not in this world with us anymore. Wherever you go, you're not in this world with us anymore. Your friends and your family will feel that emptiness. That is one person who lived a life. They lived a life that may have been good, may have been bad. They went through their own struggles. They made their own story. No longer. No longer. They don't have the ability to spread their joy among this world. They don't have the ability to help anyone among this world. They don't have the ability to do anything else in this world because they're dead, motherfucker. That's what happens when you die. America, you need to sort your shit out. The rest of the world, everyone needs to sort their shit out. First of all, New Zealanders, I'm calling you out. Stop bragging about us having been over the pandemic. Okay, the pandemic can come back at any time. It can mutate at any time. Yes, the vaccine will still work the same, but it can mutate. It can change. There are possibilities of COVID coming back and you still being under threat. Meanwhile, while you're out getting high at a festival, on the other side of the world, there are thousands of people being torn away from their families. There are people dying alone in hospital beds, alone in shelters, alone in a house by themselves, alone on the street by themselves. This happens every single day without your knowledge. Pandemic or not, people die alone and you're not doing anything to help them. Instead, you're rubbing it in their faces that you're doing better than them. What the fuck is wrong with you? Why would you do that? New Zealanders, you need to get your shit together. I know it's cool to finally be, above America in a sense. But after, many, 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 many years of them telling us, America's number one. First of all, everyone knows America's not number one, been over this, that. I know it's cool to be like, yeah, we are over the pandemic and no one else in the world is. Cool. Very great. Well done. Well done. There are still people on the other side of the world. I don't know if you know this, but we're all humans. New Zealand, you should know this. We have a very good sense of community, and we all work together really well because we care about each other and we understand a sense of community. You should know this, okay? We might be over the pandemic. The rest of the world is not. That means you are not either. Okay, we will not be over the pandemic until the whole world is doing better. Okay, just because we're over it doesn't mean we can't help in any way, shape, or form. You could donate. You could help people out across the world who are struggling to pay for these insane fucking medical bills. That is a whole other thing. America, oh my God, I fucking hate you right now. You're anti-vaxxers, anti-maskers, anti-healthcare, pro-guns. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You also need to get your shit together. People are dying. People are dying and they're all alone. And you're not doing anything about it. Because of what? Money? What? My right? My constitutional right? Newsflash, your constitutional rights were written by some old white dudes 1,000,000 years ago. And they're very much outdated. Just like the Bible. I'm sorry to say it. I'm sorry to say it. Also, the Bible was like translated completely off the grid, if we're going to talk about that, but we're not. You know, everyone is all for modernizing as we grow. It's what we do. We're humans. We modernize as we grow. We grow with the times. We change with the times. It's literally our nature. That's literally how evolution works. That's like the basics of human evolution and just like natural evolution. But for some fucking reason, all of you are still hung up over this piece of fucking paper that a couple old men wrote. A couple old men who colonized and killed many people. This isn't a side about politics either. This is simply just human decency and human empathy. America, you need to get your shit together. I'm over it. The rest of the world is over it. I'm sure many of your people are over it. I know many of your people are over it. Get over yourself. Start working together. Because if you don't, it's like you're only as strong as your weakest link. You're only as strong as your weakest link. I don't know what these anti-maskers think, but if people who are wearing masks catch COVID, well, guess what? Anti-maskers, you're next. Anti-vaxxers, you're next. Whatever other people are going to get, you're going to get it too. If it's not enough for you to feel empathy for other people, feel empathy for yourself. If other people in your community get it, you're going to get it too. You can't tell me otherwise. One way or another, you will get it. And you will die. You will be alone in a hospital bed, in an uncomfortable hospital bed that you nor your family can afford. And once you pass, alone, terrified, staring into the brightest fucking light of your life, you're leaving your family with the burden of paying your medical bills. All right, last note, I'm going to sum this up. New Zealand, stop fucking bragging. The rest of the world is still dying, and the rest of the world are still in pain. Stop fucking bragging. No one likes a bragger. Literally no one. America, get your fucking shit together and stop being assholes. Start working together. Start caring about other people. If you don't care about other people, care about yourself. Peace.